Where skills and competencies constitutes the lifeblood of public and corporate governance. You therefore need to empower yourself to fit into this new world by gaining basic knowledge and improving your skill set in the governance-focused disciplines. That is why every aspiring as well as practicing professional in governance field needs ICSAN.
ICSAN. What is ICSAN?
ICSAN is a leading statutorily established professional body dedicated to enhancing the status and practice of corporate governance and public administration. ICSAN members are trained as chartered secretaries and administrators.
Who are chartered secretaries and administrators?
Chartered secretaries are high-ranking governance professionals with a broad base of skills, unique amongst other professions. They are trained in law, finance, accounting, administration, strategy development, and corporate governance. In today's world, chartered secretaries and administrators discharge a wide range of duties and responsibilities, including functioning as chairmen of companies, executive directors, non-executive directors, company secretaries, risk managers, compliance managers, board evaluators, and corporate governance evaluators.
That is interesting. How then do I become a chartered secretary and administrator?
Good. Go to the Institute's website, www.icsan.org. You can also visit the National Secretariat of ICSAN at Plot 6, Elephant Cement Way, Alausa, Ikeja, Lagos, to get full information on how to become members. ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
All right, welcome. It's Corporate Governance Platform brought to you by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN. I am Funmi Omoburiwo. On the program this morning, we want to look at Guide to Effective Remuneration Policy. Guide to Effective Remuneration Policy. And joining us this morning, we have Mrs. Happiness Anthony-IKPE, ACIS Chairman, Finance and Revenue Committee, River State Chapter, ICSAN. Is also a member, Education Training Committee of the River State Chapter, and she's Principal Confidential Secretary, Federal Poly Nekede Uweri. Good morning, Mrs. Anthony-IKPE.
Good morning, happy new month.
All right, happy new month, and thank you for joining us on Corporate Governance Platform this morning.
It's a pleasure.
Okay, and with me in the studio is Mr. Michael Umogu, Deputy Registrar Operations. Good morning, Mr. Umogu.
Morning for me, morning listeners.
All right, we'll move on straight into the discourse this morning. That's on Guide to Effective Remuneration Policy. All right, Mrs. Anthony-IKPE, let's look at remuneration, which is regarded as a very cardinal issue in corporate governance. Why is it regarded so?
Thank you. Remuneration is one of the cardinal issues in corporate governance because directors are like agents that manage the business on behalf of the shareholders, who are the principals. However, by the law and convention, it is the directors that fix the remuneration of directors, meaning that they may more or less determine their own entitlements. This means that they may fix the sum that will be unjustifiable and excessive out of sheer greed. And for this reason, a lot of conflicts have been generated over the years between stakeholders on executive remuneration, hence the intervention of corporate governance on this vast issue. Thank you.
Okay, so what the basic functions of the Remuneration Committee as provided under the code?
Basic function of the
Remuneration Committee
is that it's a standing committee. It's a standing board committee in the modern corporate governance. That is that of the Audit Committee and the Nomination and Governance Committee. And the basic function is that they formulate the policies for remuneration package and other incentives for the senior executives with a view to attract and retain good quality managers. The Remuneration Committee is also responsible for designing the incentive schemes like employee share options as a technique of motivation and reduction of agency conflict. Thus, Corporate Governance Code, the world over, recommends that function of fixing remuneration committee solely to the remuneration committee.
All right. It is the catchphrase in corporate governance parlance, which you mentioned in passing while answering the previous question, that the remuneration should be sufficient to attract, retain, and motivate, but it should not be excessive. I want you to shed more light on this principle and why it is desirable.
Yes, this principle is desirable because remuneration package should not be excessive, as this will amount to sheer wastage of company's resources while rewarding inefficiency and mediocrity. On the other hand, it should be sufficient to attract, retain, and motivate, because good competent hands and talents do not come cheap and need to be attracted and motivated before they can be retained by an organization. So many corporate governance codes the world over contain these provisions or similar ones to the same effect. So it is just the truth concerning motivation and retention of talents.
Okay, now the Remuneration Committee is entrusted under the code with developing a policy on the nature, extent, and terms under which the external auditors may perform non-audit services. Now, why do you think this duty is given to Remuneration Committee and not the Audit Committee that normally deals with external auditors?
Yes, thank you. This duty is given to the Remuneration Committee and not Audit Committee because the responsibilities here relate more to the remuneration issue. By developing a policy on the nature, extent, and terms under which the external auditors may perform non-audit services, the income to the auditors in terms of what their remuneration would be is then being determined, and not just the audit work itself.
Okay. Now, the notion of separation of ownership from control is at the center of remuneration problem in corporate governance. I want you to explain this notion vis-a-vis remuneration issue.
Well, the directors are like agents that manage the business on behalf of the shareholders, who are the principals. But by the law and convention, it is the director that fixes the remuneration of directors, meaning that they may or less determine their own entitlements. So in this case, conflict naturally arises when directors want to do things in accordance with their own interests, while the shareholders, who are owners of the company, also have interests that may be at variance with that of the directors. That is how agency problem actually arises. So the price being paid in terms of monitoring directors and aligning their interests with that of the company is what is referred to as agency cost. So companies must get their remuneration policy right. And there is no better way to do this than to embrace the recommended best practices on the matter as provided by the corporate governance codes.
Now, there is another recommendation of the code that the committee should, among other things, develop a formal, clear, and transparent framework for the company's remuneration policies and procedure. I want you to look at the essence of the term clear and transparent in this context.
Okay. The term clear and transparent in this context means that the framework should be straightforward, easy to grasp, unambiguous, and not capable of being of multiple interpretations. So people shouldn't give different interpretations to it. In other words, the framework for the company remuneration policy should state exactly what it means without equivocation. Thank you.
Okay, let's also look at the recommendation of the code that a remuneration committee should at least once in a year include on its agenda a discussion with the head of the internal audit function and the external auditors without management being present to facilitate an exchange of views and concerns that may not be appropriate for open discussion. What's the rationale behind this?
The rationale behind this is that internal audit function and external auditor service are two separate but interlinked mechanisms for ensuring integrity of financial statements and risk management. The stipulation that Remuneration Committee should meet at least once in a year with the head of internal audit function and external auditors without management being present is to allow an opportunity for some kind of unusual insight into the internal control processes and the external audit operations that would otherwise not have been feasible if the management is present to influence or manipulate the representation by its share dominance. This is just an opportunity to offer what akins to whistleblowing process to these two functions and give the company first-hand information that might not come to surface if the management were to be present. We are present.
All right. Thank you so much, Mrs. Happiness Anthony-IKPE, ACIS, Chairman Finance and Revenue Committee, Rivers State Chapter, Member Education Training Committee, Rivers State Chapter, and also Principal Confidential Secretary, Federal Poly, Nakede Oweri. Thank you for joining us on Corporate Governance Platform this morning.
My pleasure, anytime.
All right, thank you. Mr. Umogu, I'd like to take some announcements.
Thank you very much, Fumi. We have a couple of them. The first one is the Strategic Management and Leadership Certification, which ICSAN is organizing in conjunction with the Kenyan Institute of Management. This training is scheduled to take place in June. The second one is the certification in Innovative Leadership and Governance, and this one is in conjunction with the Schulich School of Business in Ontario, Canada. Registration for these two trainings are ongoing. You can get more details on the website of the Institute if you are interested in these programs. And I will also provide you a mobile line for our training officer that you can call for further inquiries and clarification if you want to participate. On the 15th of February, the training department will be having a program titled Compliance and Ethics Masterclass. It's for about 3 hours. It's virtual, and we are inviting all members of the Institute that are interested in the topic, compliance and ethics, to contact Anita for further details and registration. Anita's number will be provided once I'm done in a minute or two. From the Education Department, we are told to inform all interested persons and stakeholders that registration for the June 2023 diet has commenced, and registration will close by the end of April. So students and others interested should quickly hurry up and do the needful so that there won't be any hiccup concerning this exam. For further details on all of these announcements that we have shared, kindly call Anita on 070-111-30059. Anita on 0701-113-0059, or Michael on 08033117969. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you, Mr. Michael Umugu, Deputy Register Operations, ICSAN. And that's how we'll wrap it up this morning on Corporate Governance Platform, brought to you by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN. We'll return again next week, Wednesday, 10:15 a.m., right here on Equity 9.7 FM. I'm Fumi Omoburiu. Enjoy the rest of the day.
The world is constantly evolving into a knowledge-based economy where skills and competencies constitute the lifeblood of public and corporate governance. You therefore need to empower yourself to fit into this new world by gaining basic knowledge and improving your skill set in the governance-focused disciplines. That is why every aspiring as well as practicing professional in governance field needs ICSAN.
ICSAN. What is ICSAN?
ICSAN is a leading statutorily established professional body dedicated to enhancing the status and practice of corporate governance and public administration. ICSAN members are trained as chartered secretaries and administrators.
Who are chartered secretaries and administrators?
Chartered secretaries are high-ranking governance professionals with a broad base of skills, unique amongst other professions. They are trained in law, finance, accounting, administration, strategy development, and corporate governance. In today's world, chartered secretaries and administrators discharge a wide range of duties and responsibilities, including functioning as chairmen of companies, executive directors, non-executive directors, company secretaries, risk managers, compliance managers, board evaluators, and corporate governance evaluators.
That is interesting. How then do I become a chartered secretary and administrator?
Good. Go to the Institute's website, www.icsan.org. You can also visit the National Secretariat of ICSAN at Plot 6, Elephant Cement Way, Alausa, Ikeja, Lagos, to get full information on how to become members. ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
Are you